Namaste. Welcome to Vishwa Yoga. My name is Vishwa. Today I will share the summary of Vaishnava's philosophy by answering the ultimate questions. I assume that you have already watched the last couple of videos and understood Pancharatra Vaishnavism and Vaishnava Tantra philosophy, in which I explained through 36 Tattvas. Also, if you have watched my video on 6 darsanas, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Vedanta and Mimamsa, then you know that each darshana or philosophy tries to answer some ultimate questions by using the varied source of knowledge. In the same way, Tantra philosophy uses 3 major sources: direct experience, inference, and testimony to answer the same questions. So I will follow the same format for consistency and will directly jump into those questions to share the answers. In case if you have missed these important videos, you can be able to find the links in the description here. So let's go to the questions and answers now. So the first question is, what is the ultimate reality? So the ultimate or supreme reality is pure consciousness or Chit. It is the coalescence into the undivided unity of Narayan or Vasudeva and his Shakti Narayani or Lakshmi. It is called Vasudeva in Vaishnavism. In other words, the supreme reality is the union of Lakshmi Narayana, also called Vasudeva. This pure consciousness or Chit is the changeless principle of all the changing experiences. Just to remind you that in Tantra, this highest reality is both transcendental and immanent. So these are the 2 aspects of one reality. But in Advaita Vedanta, the absolute reality is only pure consciousness, which is transcendental only. So Vasudeva's Swabhav or nature is called Chiddarupani or Ananda Sakti as pure bliss. This power manifests with 6 qualities as the second aspect of the Supreme Being, which is combined into one concept. This Shakti is known as Lakshmi, who is knowledge, will, bliss and activity. Thus, in the second aspect, Brahman is polarized into the divine power or Shakti, and the possessor of this divine power is called Shaktiman. So the second question is, how does the manifestation of the universe happen? Since the ultimate reality contains infinite power and potential, which is characterized as Vasudeva or Narayana Sakti, called Lakshmi or Narayani, this is the Swabhav or nature of the Supreme to create or manifest. Thus, from this Shakti, 3 types of creation take place, known as pure, mixed, and impure. The first type of creation is purely transcendental, the supreme or absolute, called Vasudeva or Narayana Tattva, along with his Shakti Lakshmi or Narayani residing in the supreme void known as Paramatma or Vaikuntha. From here, the creation begins with primordial sound Om. From there, his Shakti takes various emanations called Vyuh and incarnation for the manifestation of the universe begin. These forms are known as Paramatma or Supreme Soul. One may ask, what is the difference between soul and Supreme Soul? In simple words, when a soul or Atma is free from all restrictions, misery and limitation, then known as Paramatma. It embraces all things, sentient as well as insentient being. The mixed type of creation starts with Maya Shakti, consists of components of time called Niyati and Kal, and 3 gunas representing the traditional trinity with their consort. Maya is the Om in which all these elements stay balanced in a subtle state. If you go into the story, Brahma creates the cosmic embryo, Rudra breaks it, and Vishnu then sustains the pradhana or primordial nature, which transforms into the primordial water within this embryo. Within this cosmic embryo, Vishnu floats on these waters with Lakshmi and remains asleep. Brahma is then reborn in the lotus, steaming out the reposing Vishnu's navel. This lotus represents the manifestation of prana, which pulsates or vibrates. Here, Brahma is now identified as Hiranyagarbha or cosmic person or collective Jiva, while retaining his own identity as Brahma. This Brahma is the creator of all Jiva or individual beings. So the third type of creationist starts from Purusa or collective Jiva stage onward as the life force or prana moves or changes the balance of guna. Thus, from Prakriti, the material world comes alive. This is the evolution of the Sankhya categories. Here, from Abhyakta becomes Vyakt, or unmanifested becomes finally manifest as the material world. Here, time becomes the primary limitation of all material world, while the Purusha as the conscious principle continues to steer the Prakriti into activity and change to create the world of our experience. In short, the manifested universe is nothing but an expansion of the Vasudeva Shakti, and at the time of dissolution, Vasudeva's Shakti contracts and goes into sleep. So the third question is, who are the individual beings or Jiva? An individual being or Jiva has 5 aspects, consisting of the 5 gross elements called Mahabhutas, which are forming as a physical body or a sthula sharira. And each Jiva has 5 layers of bodies called Panchakosha. This Jiva is not different from Shakti. Each Jiva is like a mirror reflecting the mountain. Like Shakti, Jiva also has 5 functions. And there are 3 types of Jiva. One confined in worldly existence, which most of us are. The second one is liberated one, the very few one, liberated from the bondage. And the third one is ever free, which are very rare ones. As for philosophy, the Trinity pairs or all God's incarnations manifested within this cosmic embryos possesses the transcendental body. Rest of the conscious beings from celestial gods to the plants have material bodies resulting from their deed. And it is through Prana Shakti individual is connected to the universe and everything is sustained and maintained. In summary, it is Vasudeva who is in the center of each being or soul in the form of Antaryami, and that is his very self. But each being in the self-imposed limited state of individuality because of Maya, which creates all separation and limitations. So the next question is, what are the reasons for our suffering or bondage? So the Vaishnava philosophy says our bondage is due to 3 self-imposed limitations, which is felt on the 3 levels. First is the limited power or anashvarya, which is connected to the body due to Maya. Our capacity for limited activity we experience and get a feeling of inability to act or not doing enough. Due to this limited power, it gives rise to the feeling of worry and fear. The second is limited knowledge or asarvagya, which is connected to the mind due to Maya again. This creates the perception of difference due to limited knowledge, creates separation from others and the world. It creates a comparison to others. It gives rise to feelings of jealousy and anger. The third one is limited space or feeling small, anu, which is connected to the heart due to our ignorance, creates feeling of unworthiness, feeling too tiny or too small, the source of incompleteness that we experience every day. It gives rise to the feeling of insecurity and sadness. So these are the three main self-imposed limitations that bind us. They appear very similar to Mallas of Kashmir Shaivism. So the liberation from worldly bondage means that the Jiva has been freed from these three limitations of space, knowledge, and action. So the next question is how to get rid of the suffering or find liberation. The philosophy says there are 4 ways for liberation: karma, sankhya, yoga, and sharanagati. The first one, you follow the teachings of Bhagavad Gita on karma yoga. The second path is jnana yoga or the path of knowledge, which involves exact knowledge of the truth about everything. For example, knowledge of the categories, the system of evolution, the nature of God, and the supreme consciousness. The third path includes 2 kinds of yoga. One leads to samadhi, following the path of dhyana yoga or kundalini yoga. Samadhi is a state and process of merging in the absolute or the direct realization of Brahman. This is achieved by practicing introspective meditation as the foundation. The second type of yoga is called Sanyam, which is connected to mantra yoga here. In simple word, it is a ritualistic worship of God and his shakti. This involves visualizing the ritual as well as actually performing them using mantras. This path is said to be the most pleasing to the Supreme. The fourth path is said to steer and clear both good and bad deeds or karmas. It is the complete dedication and surrender to oneself to God's will, which leads the devotee to his presence. This is the path of Bhakti Yoga with unconditional self-surrender or Saranagati to God with unwavering faith. So the first 3 are traditional paths. However, the fourth path is praised to be the best, which requires a proper initiation or diksha. The ultimate goal of each of the 4 paths is to win the Supreme's favor or compassion. This happens through the process called Shakti path, as the Supreme Energy or Shakti bestows the grace. Consequently, the enlightenment happens to the initiate. So these were the main questions and their answers. However, I will add some additional questions and its answer which may be useful for you. If you remember, I mentioned in one of the previous video about mainstream bhakti versus tantric bhakti. So some may be curious what is the difference. As one of my master explained, in both streams it starts with duality. Means both consider that there is a difference between Atma and Paramatma, or as embodied soul and supreme soul. But in mainstream bhakti, it is believed that you always remain polluted or impure and have no chance to dissolve into the Supreme, at least in this lifetime. This bhakti is all about service, either as a friend or servant. In this way, you leave all your worries behind, knowing that there is a master who will be looking after you in all situations. This bhakti is based on the dualistic philosophy in which the Supreme God is the Saguna Brahman, or the form you are devoted to. The rest of the forms are given a lower value. But in Tantric Bhakti, devotee believes that since I am made from part of the Supreme, so there is a possibility that one day in this life, I will be able to dissolve or merge into that Supreme. Tantric Bhakti is not interested in liberation after death or becoming one with the Supreme after death, but the devotee wants to become one with Supreme here and now while living in this body. The devotee says, I will keep practicing and purifying myself and keep calling you. And the moment I see you, I will become you. Thus, Tantric Bhakti takes a dualistic path to begin with, but then moves into non-duality, which means through Saguna Brahman, you become one with Nirguna Brahman. In all forms, you see the same Supreme. Now, the next question could be, what are the main ways Supreme manifests? There are 5 different ways Supreme manifests, and that I have already covered in the previous video. It is called Para, Vyuha, Avatar, Antaryami, and Arch. In today's time, most devotee uses the 5th form to do their prayer or worship, called Archana, using symbolic forms of Supreme, using as a statue, idol, or images, either in temple or at home. It is the simplest way to comprehend and connect to the Supreme Divinity, as it is difficult for the human mind to connect to an abstract. Last question. What are the common practices used in this tradition? So here I have listed the commonly used practices in Vedic, Tantric, Itihasic, and Puranic traditions. In general, most householder practitioners follow the mixed tradition or follow a lineage. I am simply giving here a generalized picture so that you can understand. Though there are many mantras in this tradition, however, 2 mantras are considered simple yet very powerful. One is 8 syllables mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya, and the second one is 12 syllable mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. As you know, the essence of all knowledge from all texts is milked by Lord Krishna in the most revered text, Bhagavad Gita. So if you have not read it, or it has been a while, then read it again. There is always something new for you. So this was the summary of major question and answers as per Vaishnava Tantra philosophy. Hope it gives you a basic understanding of this philosophy. In the next video, I will finally summarize the differences and similarity between Shaiva, Shakta, and Vaishnava philosophies. Thank you for watching this video and have a wonderful day. Namaste. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the information, please subscribe, like, and share so that everyone else can also enjoy this.